What is up, everyone? UFC 296 is here. We got 12 fights, two fell through Ian Gary, Vicente Luque, and then Randy Brown and Salikov. But we got a 12 fight card. Not bad. If it was 11, I'd be pretty frustrated, but 12 fights is fine by me. First things first, just right out of the way, the 9K range. We talked about this on Monday as being an overall pretty weak 9K range. But what that means is that you have to go through it again and figure out what are the best plays given the context of the slate. Because just because the 9K range is weak overall doesn't mean that you don't play any 9K fighters. You have to go back in and look and figure it out that way. So the first thing I did was, well, who has the best ITD line? And it's Shavkat and Patty. Okay. Who has grappling upside? Well, Shavkat and Patty. So, long story short, it's no secret that Shavkat and Patty are the strongest plays in the 9K range within the context of the slate. But at the same time, they're the most expensive and they're going to be the highest owned. So, that's the trade off that you get with DFS. But it doesn't change the fact that they're still the two strongest plays and plays that I'm going to be on. Jacoby and Garbrandt, I honestly do like the Garbrandt side just because maybe he goes out here and shoots a whole bunch of takedowns. I don't know. I'm not saying that's something you can count on, but with his durability issues in his past few fights, and he started to implement a lot of takedowns in his last fight. You never know. He may just go out here and just have a really safe game plan, shoot a whole bunch of takedowns, and possibly score well that way. Again, I'm not saying that's a safe option or anything, but in the large field MME, I would rather take a shot on Garbrandt rather than Jacoby. Um, okay, so now that we have the 9K range out of the way, let's talk about any other changes. Uh, First change was Brian Kelleher. On Monday, he wasn't even a part of my player pool, but I said I have a really strong feeling that he will be by the end of the week, and that's exactly what happened. His ITD line ripped from plus 400 all the way down to plus 250, which should make total sense with the durability issues of Cody Garbrandt. So I understand that line movement, and you know whether I understand it or not, he's just still a good play. Um, Plus 250 ITD with maybe a hint of grappling upside at 7,200. Definitely play that I'm on. He's good for single entry, three max, MME. I think the whole any contest form. Brian Kelleher is an extremely strong underdog. And then the other thing that changed is that this Menfield play. So if you were here for the recap that I made earlier this week, I talked about how Roundtree last week, even though he was a really good play on paper, these low volume, heavier weight class um, power punchers, you really need them to get an early finish to pay off in DFS because even if they get a round three finish with not a lot of volume, that's not going to be enough. We saw Roundtree, he scored 78 with the round three finish. And Menfield is, kind of fits that same bill. He's a heavier weight class power puncher that, if he lands the knockout, he can score well. But if not, you're asking for a lot. I mean, yeah, he has one fight where he got over 90 strikes. The rest you're looking at like 30 to 50 and either a loss or a knockout. So Manfield, while I don't think he's a bad punt in MME, I'm just not going to do it personally. So that's the first thing that changed. Manfield's no longer in my pool, but I do get it if you are playing him. He's not a terrible punt. And the other thing that changed is that Emmett was fringy on Monday, but I really like him. Uh, here on Friday. I think he if he keeps his fight on the feet, I think it's only a matter of time before he knocks out Bryce Mitchell. And I like both these fighters. I mean, I like Bryce Mitchell more probably just because his personality is pretty wild. But if Josh Emmett keeps his fight on the feet, I just don't understand how he can't find the knockout. If he keeps his fight on the feet somehow and still loses, then I guess everything I knew about Josh Emmett is wrong. But I just refuse to believe that if he stuffs these takedowns, that he can't have a monster ceiling in this fight. Um, so yeah, and not to mention the fact that he's like 14% owned, projected at least. So yeah, Josh Emmett I think is um moved from fringy to a good play for me, especially in MME. I think he's a really strong play. Rosa I said was a fade. Then I looked into it a bit more and I thought, maybe if she wins, it's because she gets a whole bunch of takedowns and she'll score really well. Maybe I was thinking that. I wasn't sold on that. But then I saw her at 23% owned. Yeah, no thanks. So still fading Rosa. Lipsky is interesting because I do think this fight itself is close. But the question is, will Lipsky score well if she wins? And I don't know that for sure. So I still have to fade her. But at low ownership, I like her better than Rosa if I had to choose between these two. But overall, I'm still not going to be on her as one of my main plays. Royval, still a really good play. Almeida, Gaziev, Durden. What I will say about Durden is that a lot of people don't seem to be on him this week. Um, Basically, they're saying that his ITD line is really poor, which it is, and they're also saying that when he wins this fight, it doesn't necessarily score well, and that's where I disagree. I just think if he wins this fight, it's gonna be because he pushed the pace and just really racked up a lot of points. That's just my opinion, and I'm gonna go with that. So Durden's still in the pool, but there's a lot of talk about him not being a very good play, especially at 7.9K. It's really hard to get behind 7.9K fighter. A lot of slates, I feel like, because there's always like a underdog who looks a lot better, and so I'm personally on Durden. I understand, I guess, the logic behind fading him, but I'm gonna be on him. Covington, I'm all over Covington and DFS this week, along with everyone else. It's no secret that he's a really good play. I'm still fading Leon. I just can't get behind. The he's a very good fighter. But he's a point striker, and he wins a lot of decisions. And I just don't think that's going to be enough at 8.2K. People have this idea that you know he can knock out Colby, and of course he can, but he's never been this knockout guy, and his ITD line doesn't suggest anything special either. It's like plus 280 over 5 rounds as well. Uh, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Leon wins this fight and Colby somehow, I mean, not outscores him maybe, but like nearly ties his score. Like if Leon gets a late finish or something, you could very well see Colby Covington nearly outscore him even in a loss. So yeah, I'm all over Colby. He's clearly the strongest play on the slate besides maybe Pantoja, and I'm still fading Leon. Ulanbekov, I just like, a high paced matchup, and I can definitely see Tagir, snatching up a front headlock choke if Durden is failing takedowns, or getting takedowns himself. So I do like Tagir in this spot as well. Casey O'Neill, I was kind of iffy on her. I understood her ceiling. Um, but now here on Friday, I absolutely have to be on her. I think she's a strong play, and yeah, once again, the thing is, if she's getting a lot of significant strikes, she's scoring well that way. If she's not, it's because she's getting a ton of takedowns and she's getting a ton of total strikes. So either way, she's really scoring well. Obviously, you prefer the takedown and control and total strike route, but she can still score well if it stays on the feet and she lands, 150, 200 strikes. So yeah, Casey O'Neill, I like Bryce Mitchell. Although I really have a bad feeling about this fight for him. You can't deny that he has three, four, five takedown upside in this fight. He has a monster ceiling. Uh, I just have to play him, and then I just don't think I'm gonna do Jacoby and Garbrandt. So yeah, that's my updated player pool. Um, it was really hard to stay. I mean, this whole mid range was really hard to find spots to fade, but I found a few that I feel comfortable fading. And yeah, I'm gonna take it. Whether I do really well or do really bad, I think that I have a very strong player pool, and I'm excited for this slate because it should be fun. But just one more time, Shavkat, good play. Pimblett, good play. Jacoby pass. Garbrandt pass. Mitchell, good play. Aldana pass. O'Neal, good play. Pantoja, elite. Feely. I didn't talk about the Feely fight. Feely and Almeida are both fine. They're not my favorite, but yeah, they're both fine. Boudet. I also didn't talk about the Boudet fight. I think Boudet is a really good GPP play because I do think that Gaziev or Gaziev, I don't know how to pronounce it, will be popular. He has all the line value. He has a good ITD line, possible grappling upside. So I do think he'll be popular. And I do like Boudet a lot in a GPP tournament setting, but they're both good. So Feely fine, Boudet good, Ulanbekov good, Leon pass, Covington elite, Durden good, Gaziev good, Almeida fine, Royval good, Lipsky and Rosa are fades, but if I had to choose one, I'd go with Lipsky. Emmett fine, but I like him as a good play, but technically he's a fine play. Kelleher, really good play, and then Menfield pass for me, but he is fringy, and I do understand including him in a large field MME setting. So that's it. Best of luck to everyone. Um, I think this slate should be really fun, and I really am interested to see what the optimal lineup is, and hopefully it'll be us this week or one of you guys, if not. So thanks for watching. Best of luck to everyone tomorrow. Enjoy the card. Enjoy the holiday season, the new year, everything. And I will see you guys for the recap on Sunday.